Hey guys, just bought myself a Dodge Ram 1500 with a 4.7 Magnum in it, and I've noticed this little issue that it has. Keep jumping out of overdrive on the freeway around about 60 mile an hour. I did a bit of research and I found out it's a common problem across various vehicles. The Jeeps do it, the Dodges do it, and I'm sure a few other vehicles do it too. But basically what happens is sitting on the freeway and it jumps, as you can see by the tachometer there, it's jumping from third gear to fourth gear and back to third gear, just randomly back up to fourth gear. Goes up to fifth gear sometimes and then back to fourth and then down to third. It's just a random problem, and I found out an easy fix is to change the throttle positioning sensor. It's quite easy to do, and I've just made a short video to help you guys out if you need to do that. And it's reasonably cheap. I think it cost me about $30 at the local auto parts store for a new throttle positioning sensor. Okay, we're under the bonnet now, and there's the airbox for the 4.7 in the Dodge Ram, and behind the airbox is the throttle body. Attached to the side of the throttle body is the throttle positioning sensor. It basically has two bolts in it and just a wire plug that you can unplug. A lot of people take out the airbox to get to it. I'm just going to show you a video to do it without taking out the airbox. It's just a lot of extra work that you probably don't need to do. Just unplug the wires there. There's a little clip on the bottom. Push that in and pull it out. Can be a bit sticky sometimes, but not too bad. You'll need a Torx bit. I believe it's a 25 Torx bit to undo the two bolts. I'm just using a short ratchet with a small extension bar. And there's my new throttle positioning sensor. Comes with an O-ring and a gasket. There's the Torx bit that you will need to undo the two bolts, and it's rather simple to do. Once you get them loose, you can undo them by hand. So I've just cracked them, and now I'm just undoing them by hand. You can easily reach your hand down behind the airbox. I just sit in the engine bay because the Dodge Rams have a large engine bay to sit in, so it's not a problem. So now I have the bolts out. It's quite easily just to finish them off by hand. Try and be careful not to drop the bolts, because once they drop down into the valley you probably can't get them again, but most kits come with new bolts anyway, so it doesn't matter too much if you do. So there it is out, and as you can see, there's like a little turning device inside there. Has a slot, and that sticks out. And if you look on the inside of the throttle positioning sensor, it rotates that little device inside there. And there's a plug side. It just has simply a couple of plugs on there. So as you can see from the old one, mine had the O-ring. Some just have the gasket, so be careful. Just check which one you have and then replace it with the same as what you have. So if you have the O-ring, put the O-ring on. If you have the gasket, put the gasket on. I put a little bit of grease on the end of my new bolts just to save any binding and make it easier if you ever have to do it again down the track. So when you put your new bolts in there, just sit them in place, and when you put the throttle positioning sensor in place, if you put it anti-clockwise and try and rotate it clockwise, it won't rotate. So you need to turn it slightly clockwise and then rotate it anti-clockwise so that it locates properly. Once you've located it, you can simply start the bolts by hand and get them going. Just a little side note, I've heard that the cheaper aftermarket throttle positioning sensors aren't necessarily that great. They can have some issues. So I've just kept my old throttle positioning sensor in my toolbox in the back of the truck, just in case it breaks down. and this one stops working, I can always throw the other one back on, because I know it works. It just has a problem at cruising speed, jumping in and out of top gear. So if I get stuck somewhere, at least I know I can throw it back on the side of the road and get myself home to get another throttle positioning sensor. You can get an OEM throttle positioning sensor. I believe they're around between $60 and $80, so they're quite a bit more expensive. And you probably wouldn't have an issue with them for quite a number of years. But I just went with a cheaper one because it's a cheap truck and I'm not looking to spend a bunch of money on this truck. Anyway, I'm tightening these bolts up now, get them nipped up. They don't have to be super tight, so do them by hand and then just slightly nip them up with your ratchet there. And yeah, it's a pretty straightforward job. Not too difficult. Anyone can probably do it with the right tool. Once I've got them nipped up, just nipping them up there with a ratchet. You just check everything's correct and then plug the wires back in. Simply just push it straight back on there. Push it all the way in until you hear the click. That way you know it's not going to fall off. So that's pretty much it for the throttle positioning sensor. Started the vehicle up, had no problem starting up. Seemed to idle a lot better. After I took it for a drive, it didn't have the issue with it at all anymore. It cruised nicely on the highway, didn't jump out of top gear. And as a side note, it was gained about 2 miles per gallon on fuel economy. So definitely a gain there. So yeah, that's it guys. If you like this video, just drop us a like or whatever, and yeah, I'll try and keep them coming. I plan to do a few more mods on this Dodge Ram, so it should be good. Thank you for watching.